Olivia is my youngest daughter. She has always been my sidekick, always the one who can know when I'm happy, sad, is there for everyone. And there was a point in her life in high school at about 15 where things started to change and she became more withdrawn. I tried to reach out. The more I reached out, the further away she became, and I thought it was just teenage things. The reality was that my daughter communicated on social media with someone who posed to be a juvenile her age and actually was a 24-year-old adult. And after school on her first week, this person picked my daughter up and sexually assaulted her. The person that she thought she could relate to. The individual told her to take her life. That was the only way that they would be together and that the individual would not be sent to jail. And I think that was one of the hardest moments in my life because my daughter was laying in a hospital bed with over 100 wounds from cutting herself.
So sexual and physical assault is a large issue in central Minnesota. It was an eye-opener for me when I first started for how prevalent it actually is in our community.
Annually, Stearns County, we receive approximately 2,500 reports of abuse, neglect, and sexual abuse each year.
I know that in the 5.5 years that I have been a forensic interviewer here at the CAC, I have conducted just about 1,300 forensic interviews, and that is a small sampling of what we know is actually occurring.
So the Central Minnesota Child Advocacy Center is essentially a one-stop shop for kids, teens, and vulnerable adults who have been abused or maltreated in some way. We are a part of CentraCare, but we also operate as a multidisciplinary team.
Because at CentraCare, it's the whole person. It's not just the one thing that happened to you that comes through my office for prosecution. It's what's going on with your life, what's going on with your family. Is my body okay? What's going to happen next? The way that happens here at CentraCare and the way that CentraCare stepped in to fill this significant need in this community, all the difference in the world.
So before the CAC was founded, what would happen is that either children could be interviewed by law enforcement or human services, either in their homes or sometimes even at a police station. If they needed therapy, they would have to wait weeks to months to check in with a therapist. If they needed medical services, they either would never see a medical provider, or you would have to drive down to St. Paul, down to the Midwest Children's Resource Center and see someone down there.
It's extremely important that the child only tells their story one time. It helps with the investigation, it helps with the court process, it doesn't create inconsistencies in the stories, it doesn't create opportunities or holes or gaps, or for the child to potentially even have the story changed based on influences. Having to retell your story each time is a new traumatic opportunity, and no child wants to have to continuously tell their story. It does no benefit to the child, and for all players who are involved, it's a lot better.
They will meet with our forensic interviewer for the forensic interview, and that's the time where the rest of the team, so law enforcement, human services, county attorney, and other CAC staff will be in an observation room watching the interview. And so if there are questions, for example, that law enforcement or human services or the attorney wants to make sure is asked and answered for the purposes of their part of the investigation or their part of the case, then we can make sure our forensic interviewer asks those questions.
But I think one of the greatest impacts that the Child Advocacy Center has had is that it's fostered strong collaborations and strong partnerships in the community. And when we have strong collaborations and strong partnerships, ultimately it leads to better outcomes for all of the professionals that are involved in working with these children and families, and also better outcomes for the children and families that are served through here.
I see a different comfort in children after disclosure than when I did when we had to bring them to the police station. They seem reassured more often. It's sound medical exams as well, so it's reassuring to the parents that there's no further injury.
I hear comments like, I finally feel free, I finally feel heard, I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. And that's from the children.
Just really proud to be a part of something where I know that I am and really helping, you know. These kids come in, some of them come with so many questions and they're just really not sure, like, am I healthy, am I okay? And just to have those conversations, be like, everything looks healthy, you're totally okay. And for teens especially, just to have those conversations about you deserve respect, you deserve to be loved. And this doesn't define you, like you can heal from this, you can grow from this. In your future, like nothing can stop you.
I had very little hope that my daughter would speak to someone she didn't know, knowing that this person she felt she was in love with was going to be incarcerated as a result of this. There was just no way. But we went there, and one thing I can say is that after her last appointment, I got a hug from my daughter, and I had not gotten a hug from her in 6 months.